right, round number 1 against Black Purple Luffy. This is after the starter decks and all that came out, and this is the OP11 format too. Personally, I think that Sugar is a amazing deck, especially in this format. Your hardest matchup will of course be Blue Purple Luffy because they just get to play 2 big bodies a turn. They also have the Red Rock that's searchable. But for matchups like this against like Black Purple Luffy, I feel like you are a lot more favored. So you always want to start off with this deck. You want to try to get at least one of your Searcher events or get one of your non-Dawn minus events, and you want to use that early to be able to ramp up. You also want to find your Sugars, your 1-cost Sugars, that way then you can get searches early as well. They also act kind of like little pseudo blockers like most searchers do that tap themselves to search because your opponent doesn't want you to get a whole bunch of extra value. So other than that, your other big combo that you're looking for is that 8-cost Doflamingo and then your 5-cost Rosinante. So that way then you get to get a draw 2, get 2 big bodies on the field, and the Rosinante will restand 2 Dawn for you as long as you have 7 or more Dawn. And then your leader will restand 1 as well. So you're guaranteed to have 3 Dawn, which is realistically 4, depending on how you play your events. So here, they do play out quite a few cards. They do some more ramping, and then they're going to swing 6 here, which is huge because we're just going to use this Red Hawk, and we're going to get rid of their Black Maria. That way, we got rid of a 2K that they played out, and if they want to do any Dawn minus shenanigans, they can't get their Dawn back for free. So here, we just swing 5 into 5, they give us some counter, and then we're going to play out our 8-cost Dofi into our 5-cost Rosinante. That way we can discard one of our events. I'm just thinking which one of the 2 do I want to discard? Do I want to discard the Beam Sword or the Rad? I give up the Rad, and then we draw into a Searcher, Sugar, and another 1-cost event, the Blast Breath. So we still get 2 events. Here on their turn, they do play the starter deck 6-drop Luffy, which makes them a 7k lead until their next turn. So that is pretty strong for them. We're not really sweating too much about this. We are going to use our Dofi's effect here. It allows you, when your opponent attacks, you can rest a Dawn to be able to gain an active Dawn. And then here we are going to Noronoro Beam Sword. We will return a Dawn. Right here, this is like the first time that I started using the Beam Sword, so I was trying to figure out exactly how it works because it's worded a couple different ways. So here we minus a Dawn, we give our character or our leader up to 7k. And then we're going to tap down that new Luffy that they played. And then we're also going to give them 1k counter as well. Then here they swing 7. So I'm thinking I could just Blast Breath out of this. Looking back now though, I do think that Blast Breathing here is the wrong decision because that now puts us down to 7 Dawn. If we would have just taken that, we would have went down to 2 life, and then we could have played Shanks this turn. But we don't get punished. We do draw into the 8-drop Doflamingo, so that gives us another 8-drop double body play here. So we're just going to start off by swinging 9 into 7. They do decide to Giant right there to save it. So here, I'm thinking about attaching 1, and then I'm just going to swing into the Zoro. They do give that up, and then I'm just going to play out this Dofi, get this Senor Pink, minus a Dawn for his effect to get the Noronoro Beam Sword back to hand, and then I get to restand 1 Dawn. So I restand 1, and then I pass my turn. At the end of my turn, I do get to restand 3 Dawn because of leader in Rosinante. So we are still in a incredibly good position here. And they have a lot that they have to work through. So we only have one event, but we still have 3k counter in hand, and then we also have Shanks, which is what we're most likely going to play on our next turn to try to seal the deal. So here, they did some searching, or they're still searching right now as well. They do get a Gum Gum Lightning, so they do play that, so that way then they can get rid of the Rosinante. So that kind of stinks, but you know, if they're having to spin 2 Dawn right there, I mean, they get the Dawn back, but they're still having to use the card right there. And then they play out another Black Maria. And then here they're swinging for 9 at us, just so that way then they can make their leader back into a 7k. We are going to use both of the Doflamingo's effects because they are stackable. And yeah, we gained our Dawn back that we had to minus for last turn. And then we just took that one, so we got another 1k counter, which is one of our blockers. So here, they decide they're gonna swing for 5 with that. And here, I'm still getting used to the Beam Sword, but I do decide to just 1k out of that. And then they do swing 7. And I'm just thinking, okay, so do I want to 2k, 1k out, or I could just Beam Sword here, and then 1k out as well. I'm just rereading Beam Sword, making sure how it works. So I do use it. We do lose a Dawn. And then I'm tapping down that Black Maria. And then I just give them that 1k. So they do pass here, so we do draw into the 5-cost Rosinante again. But we have no events in hand, so there's not really a reason to play it here, so I'm just going to play out this Shanks instead. So I'm just thinking, do I want to play it out first, which I do decide to do, and then I swing 9 into 6. So if they have a giant, it does get them out of this attack, but at the same time, they can see that we have multiple other swings. So here, I'm just going to swing 6 into 3, get rid of another body. Then I'm going to swing leader, get rid of their Black Maria. And then I'll swing the 9 into lead. And then I'm thinking, do I want to swing Shanks into lead right now? I do decide, yeah, because I do at least have 3k counter in hand. I'm also restanding 1 Dawn, so I can make it seem like, you know, they've seen a lot of one cost events. Maybe I have one of those. You never know. With this deck, you do want to bluff a lot if you are running low on events in hand. It does help because you just run 20 events, so they think that you always have at least like 5 in your hand, even if you have a 3-card hand. So here they swing 6. I'm just going to 2k out. They did play out that 10 cost extra turns Luffy. So this turn they do have a total of 5 active Dawn to mess with. And they have 2 swings. So they spend 3, and then that's just so that way then they can tap down our Dawn. Here they're going to swing 7 at us, so we have to take that one. And then they're just thinking like, okay, now we'll swing 11 into 9. Sadly, I didn't get a 2k off the top of my deck, so we do have to give them that. So we do draw into a Senior Pink. So here I'm just thinking they only have 1 life. They have a bunch of cards. They could have a Gum Gum Giant because they're leaving up Dawn. there's an easy way that I can go for game here. So let's start and just see if that's a possibility. We're gonna start off with a 9k swing with the Doflamingo first. Because if this goes through, then I'm gonna go for lethal. If not, then, you know, I can play it more safe. So there, they do take it. I'm like, okay. Now I can go for lethal, but what exactly are the numbers that I can do? I need to make sure that I'm hitting for at least 9k with my swings. So I have 10 Dawn. I'm like, I can go 5 and 5 with my Dawn on leader and Senor Pink. That way then I have a 10k swing and a 11k and then a 12k swing. This way, if they do have the giant, they can get out of one swing. It is going to take 2 cards. So here we swing 10. They do giant. They do 2k out of that as well. So now I'm just going to swing 11, and this should pretty much be game. Alright, game number 2 is against another new starter deck leader, the green-yellow Yamato. So, green-yellow Yamato is one of the other decks out of the 6 new starter decks that got probably some of the better support. So I do think that you'll see her often. I do think that she is very good as a deck right now and as a leader. So here, they decide to give us first, and our hand is looking decent. They do start off with a search. So I'm just thinking, okay, well, I could have ramped and just left like the Dawn open to be able to ramp. But I decide, no, I'll just play out a blocker because I don't want to take 2 life this early in the game. So if I have to block, then I have to block. So here they do another search. They did find one of the new Yamatos, and then they play out another Momonosuke. So I do think that for green-yellow, if you are looking into playing that deck, I do think that the Wano style is probably what you're going to want to go as well. You do a lot of searching, you keep quite a few cards in hand. All of the really good green and yellow cards for Wano are pretty strong and kind of staples in most metas anyway. Like that 5 cost, it's really good as a double attacker that has banish. So here we just swing into that. We are going to play out this Rosinante just to draw 2. And then I'm thinking, I'm like, okay, so I know I'm going to restand 1 Dawn, and I don't want to allow them to get a second search, so should I just use this? And I decide, yeah, I'll just swing into it with the blocker. And then here we get the 1 Dawn back, because we're not at 7 Dawn yet, so we don't get the Dawn back from Rosinante. They do play out the 1-drop. They do search out the Ashura, and sadly that is a answer to our Rosinante. And I guess at this moment I'll also talk about the fact that there is no 9-cost Big Moms in my list. With OP11 we got the 8-cost Katakuri, and I think hands down it's just the much better late game purple card for this deck. I mean, The 9 cost Big Mom is good. It gives you a life. It does do a removal, but it's not as good as just having a 8,000 power blocker that restands itself at the end of your turn and can give you back a Rested Dawn. Those are really strong, and you don't have the downsides that Big Mom has, which is having to discard a card, which is really bad. And then she's also 9 Dawn herself, so if you're playing her out and you have no big body of your Dawn Kotes out, then you can't use leader effect to restand a Dawn, so you will only have 1 active Dawn. At least with Katakuri, you'll have 2 active. So here, we swung for 6, they take it, we play out another blocker, and we leave 2 Dawn up. So they start off by playing a 1-drop blocker, just one of those little chump blockers. So here, they're starting to attach their Dawn. They gave her 2 Dawn. They had to do it manually because the leader effect for Green Yellow Yamato requires your opponent to be at 3 life or less. So the fact that we are still at 4 life means that they have to manually do it until we take a life. So here they play out the 1-drop Otama. They do find a Yamato, the 5-drop Yamato. And then they're just figuring out how much Dawn they want to use on each of their characters. So both of those characters are now 5k attackers. So now they're swinging for 6 with that 1-drop. They attach their last Dawn. So this one we will take. Here they swung 5. I'm thinking about just taking this one. I could just free counter out with one of my events. So I start off by just doing my searcher event. I do find another 8-drop Doflamingo. I gain a Dawn. And then here I'm like, okay, so I could just take that one, which I do. We do find another 1k counter, and now they swing 6 here. I'm just going to block her out, and I'm not going to use effect because now we're at 9 Dawn. So here I'm going to swing 5 into the 0 attack Yamato. So they're just thinking, do they want to block or not? Personally, in their shoes, I wouldn't block. It's not worth it. So here we're just going to play out the 8-drop Dofi, then play out a free blocker, and then we'll pass after we restand a Dawn. This makes it so that way then we have 2 Dawn up, just in case we need to use all of our events this turn. Also makes it easier so that way then we can try to stay at 8 Dawn, so that way then we can go to 10 Dawn on our next turn in case we want to play out something like this 10 cost Shanks. So here they play out the 5-drop Momonosuke blocker, put the Otama at the bottom of their life. That way then they can guarantee a 2k at the end of the game. They do use Yamato's leader effect to give 2 Dawn to their 3-drop, and then they play out the Kikanojo. So here they're gonna swing 5. We will use the Doflamingo's effect. Or at least we should use the Doflamingo's effect, yeah. And then here we can 1k out if we want, which we do decide to do. And then they have a 6k swing coming at us. So here we're just going to use one of these blast breaths. That way then we can still gain the Dawn back. We become 9k for that fight. And now we're still at 10 Dawn. So here we have two big plays. So we can go 10 cost Shanks, or we can go 8 cost Katakuri. So if we go 10 cost Shanks, that lowers their attacks by a lot. So that's the reason why we're gonna start off with that first. So now it's 5 into 2. They should just give that body up, yep. And then we're gonna swing 9 at lead. They do just block her out of that, and then we're gonna swing 12 at lead. They take that one. We do get to restand 1 Dawn because we do have a Don Quixote family card with, I think it's 6,000 or more for sugar effect. So here they do play one of the other new starter deck card, or they play 2 of the new starter deck cards, sorry. They play the new Izo, which is, it gives the leader banish for the turn, and then Dawn ×2, it gains blocker during your opponent's turn. And then they play out the new 6 cost Momonosuke, which can put 2 attached Dawn back down to your rested area. That way then it gains rush. And then it also gives your leader plus 1k power if you have 2 or less life. So luckily they're at 3 life, not at 2, so they can only really swing for 7, but that's still just 1 event to get out of. Here we're not going to use Doflamingo effect yet. What we're going to do is we're going to use a blast breath, put back a Dawn, and now we gain that Dawn right back. And we were able to get out of that attack. And then for this one, they do 7k. So I am just going to Radical Beam that. And then they go 5k at us. I decided to take that one. I could trigger this, but I decide not to. It's good to have that as an extra event in our hand because next turn we're most likely just going to play out this Katakuri. So here, I'm just thinking, how exactly do I want to deal with them? I could go after their board, and that's probably the smarter play. So I go 5 into 5. If they let the Kikunojo go, they at least get a life, since I'm at only 1 life. And then here, we're just going to swing 10 into 6. This way, it requires 3 cards out of their hand, with 2 being 2Ks, if they want to counter out of it. They do just let it go, and then I'm going to swing 12k at face. And then I'm just going to play out this Katakuri. And then with leader effect, we will be able to restand a Dawn. Now we have 2 active Dawn. So the big play that we want to do in this sequence, if you are new to Sugar, is you want to use your Dawn minus effects first. You want to use one, specifically one of them, if you have a Red Hawk in hand. The The reason being is that if you're only at 2 Dawn and you use the Red Hawk, you're not going to gain a active Dawn back. But if you use the Blast Breath first and go Dawn -1, then once that Blast Breath resolves, you'll gain an active Dawn, putting you back at 2 active Dawn so you can play your second event that turn. That's one of the biggest difficulties with this deck, is manipulating your Dawn and knowing just how to do that little jumble. So here we're just going to free block. And then they're going to swing 6 at us. So I decide, okay, I'm just going to Dawn -1 here for the Blast Breath. This way, if they do decide to still swing with their Momonosuke, then I can just Red Hawk, get rid of their Izo. Might as well get rid of a body for free. They do decide to just not do that. So here we do draw into the 1-drop sugar. So here we do find a Senior Pink, which is perfect. Then we will play that out. And sadly, our opponent's good. Alright, so this is game number 3 against Green Purple Lim. So she is definitely going to be one of the more wishy-washy matchups for us. We definitely need to hit our ramp as fast as possible, so we need to get those events that don't have Dawn -1. And we definitely want to get a perfect opener like what we have here. So here we're just going to use the search. We find our 8-drop Doflamingo. We gain an active Dawn, and we'll just take that. So we do get a 2k off the top of our life. So here, it's their turn still, so they do use Leader Effect, they ramp a Dawn, and they're able to play out a 5-drop or less, so they play out the 3-drop Searcher Lim, and they find a Edward Newgate. So this turn, we're at 5 Dawn. So I'm just counting out my Dawn, counting out how much I need to do. So I decide I'm just going to do a search, see what I find off the top 5. We find a blocker. We're gonna put the event up towards the top. And then we're going to attach 3 Dawn to lead and swing for 8. This way it guarantees that they have to give us at least 2 cards. So here they give us a 2k. And then they give us double 1k to save it. So we got 3 cards out of their hand for that swing, which is huge. It's understandable because most of the Odyssey cards require having 2 or less rested characters. So they need to at least keep 1 body on the field at all times. Here they're going to swing 5 at us. I'm thinking I only really have 1 Dawn to play with, so I'm going to Rad Beam here, get out of that swing. That way then I ramp a Dawn, so that way the next turn I'm going to be able to play one of my 8-drops, which is most likely going to be the Doflamingo. Here they play their own Doflamingo themselves with Leader Effect. And then they just pass turn. They didn't want to swing at us for some reason, So here I'm just thinking, which card do I want to summon off of the Dofi? I'm pretty sure it's just going to be the blocker. So I'll start off by just swinging 5 into their limb, see if I can get a card out of hand, or see if they're just going to do the free block. They decide to just let the limb go. So as soon as they let the limb go, I was like, okay. Instead, what we're gonna do is we could just play out the Senior Pink. This way we get that back. And then I'm going to be able to do a search. We could grab another Senior Pink here, that way then we have it as another event recursion. I get to still restand a Dawn at end of turn, so I can still use like a Blast Breath if need be, but for the most part I don't mind just taking like a hit or two this turn, because I can do a search, re-ramp up one of the Dawn that I lost, and be able to re-ramp both of the Dawn because of the 8-cost Doflamingo. So that way then I can guarantee that next turn I will be able to play out the 8-drop Katakuri. Here they go 6 into 5. I do use the Doflamingo effect. And then I'm just going to use the Searcher. We find a Rosinante, which is huge for later on. And then we do get a active Dawn again. And then I just 2k out of that. Here they swing 6 at us again. So I'm just thinking, okay, so I could go down to 2 life here. That's not terrible. I don't really want to give up both of my 1k counters. So here we do get a Hell's Judgment. There's no reason of using its trigger effect. I mean, it could stop them from playing 2 bodies in this turn, but it's vastly better to use as a event counter than it is a trigger. And then here they do play out that Newgate, and then they play out the Mihawk. They restand the Newgate so that way then they can keep it safe. But now we're at 10 Dawn. We're definitely going to play this Katakuri. I'm going to start by swinging 6 into their Mihawk. I just want to try to get more cards out of their hand. That's the big thing. If I can get a lot of cards out of their hand and keep them at, 1 or 2 cards in hand every turn, that's when they stop doing anything. So here they do give us a counter, so then we're just going to swing 9 into 6. And then we're just going to go at face. And then we'll play out the Katakuri, be able to restand a Dawn with leader. That way then we still have 2 active Dawn here. So this turn they do have 3 attackers, but due to Hell's Judgment being like our best event in our deck, we're able to get out of 2 attacks. They decide that they're just going to attach 6 Dawn and try to take out this Doflamingo. So here I'm just thinking, how exactly do I want to do this? We're not going to use the Doflamingo effect right now. So if I use Hell's Judgment, I can get out of this. So I do decide I'm going to do that, make it into a 9k for the turn, and then give minus 3k to their blocker Dofi. And then I just give them 1k as counter. This way we still have an active Dawn, so we can use our Blast Breath. And we still have a 8 power Katakuri blocker. So here we just free block. They're deep in the tank with the 3 cards that they have in hand, so I'm just thinking about my next turn plays as well. So I'm most likely going to play out the Rosinante next turn, be able to trash one of the Searcher events, try to draw 2. They do play out a Mihawk, and they swing 10 into 8 trying to clear the Katakuri, but luckily we had that Blast Breath. So we are going to use that, -1 Dawn, become 12k for that fight. So we end up drawing into another Katakuri, so that kind of changes things a little bit. We still have a Noronoro Beam in our hand, so we still have like a decent event. So we're going to swing 8 into 6. Here they're thinking if they want to counter out, which they do decide to do. They give a 2k, they give 2 2ks, so that makes this easier. We're just going to go 6 into 6. Then we're going to go 6 into 6 again. Then we go 9 into 5. That way then we put them down to 2 life. And then here we're just going to play out another 8-drop Katakuri.